get ready to be part of something extraordinary at WOSCon 2024. Imagine a gathering of the brightest minds, the most innovative thinkers, and the industry experts all under one roof. This is not just an event, it's a transformative experience where knowledge is shared, connections are made, and inspiration is ignited. WOSCon 2024 sounds like an electrifying event. It must be a thrill to be part of such a gathering where creativity, expertise, and innovation converge. The synergy that arises when brilliant minds come together can spark groundbreaking ideas and collaborations that have the potential to shape the future. I can already envision the exhilarating atmosphere filled with passionate discussions, cutting-edge presentations, and networking opportunities that transcend boundaries. It's events like these that fuel progress and drive positive change in the world.
She started. Hey guys, this is William, and tonight I have Georgia with us, and we're going to be discussing WOSCon. She's one of our speakers at WOSCon 2024. So just go ahead and stay tuned. We're going to be going over her background, how she got started in SEO, a little bit of everything. So Georgia is the co-founder and head of search at SwitchKey Digital, and SXO consultancy, specialized in helping businesses unlock explosive growth through user-centric approach to SEO. We're going to be talking about that, user experience, UX, CRO, a bunch of different things. She's bringing nearly a decade, I believe, of expertise into SEO as your role of leading agencies such as Prosperity Media and a large Australian comparison sites, including Finder, Reviews.org, Whistleout, etc. So welcome to the show, Georgia.
Yeah, great to be here.
Nice to meet you. Let me see real quick. We'll go ahead and get started. For our views tonight, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself in regards to your background, your career, your journey?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I've been in the SEO space, like you said, for about a decade now. I originally started off wanting to be like a journalist and got into the online content writing space, and I was a editor. And then from there, that's when I really first learned about SEO and that data and strategy side for the first time. And then yeah, realized that it was really that combination of like being able to look at digital strategy combined, with the skills in just like communication that really got me into SEO. And then from there have been agency side in a few different places in Australia, and have now started my own agency.
Awesome. So you started in SEO. It's been about a decade, and you exited out of, if you will, work with other people, and then you started your own agency. How long has that been going on?
That has been like 4 months now. So it's exciting.
So it's a newborn baby. I love it.
It is. Yeah, my baby now.
Yeah. Awesome. So by the way, any of our viewers right now, we have a free gift for all of you guys. You get a chance to win free tickets to worldofsearchconference.com. How to win? Just share this live feed on your Facebook. Post a screenshot in the comment box below, and we'll check the interest. One of our team members will also get in touch with the lucky winner. So I know you touched on, you had the experience of a decade, etc. Background and career journey. Can you share a little bit of what led you to co-found SwitchKey Digital? What actually led you to want to do it? Because I know I talk to people, even myself, I go, how many of you actually want to start an agency? Everybody raises their hand because they think it's an amazing thing. And some people are really good at freelancing, but freelancing or working for somebody else is totally different than running your own agency. So what led you to want to do that?
So I know, yeah, it will. I think I've always wanted to start a business, but I didn't know they would end up being like a SEO agency. My partner, he's a UX designer, and so he's also the co-founder of SwitchKey Digital, and he really taught me, I guess, to open my eyes to seeing the value of like the UX design side of things combined with the SEO and focused on convergence in the funnel. Realized like how that's often missing from a lot of the work that some SEOs
Especially
do,
with
and it's so important. Yeah,
SEOs.
for sure.
Yeah, you tell the word funnel, and it's like different things can actually affect anything. I tell people all the time, for example, if you are trying to reach cat owners and you send them an image in the mail or a website and has a picture of a dog, even though you sell cat food at the store, they're probably not gonna, if you will, buy from you, because you're not, if you will, putting what your ideal client or customer has on there. It could be a woman, it could be a man.
I think you went on mute there for a second.
There we go.
Yes,
It muted
you're
me.
back. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear you speak, because I definitely, even at the conference, I'm more interested not in really speaking, but in actually taking a lot of notes. And then I go back and apply. I'm always interested in hearing those sort of things. So when you were working with the other agencies like Prosperity Media and Australian as well, what are some of the things that you actually had to go through that were challenges, and what are some things that were successes, and what led you to those?
Yeah, I mean, being agency side, we're lucky to work across a lot of niches. So, working with published SEOs was like really like fun material, but definitely became a lot harder in recent
Yeah.
times. And then I also worked with a lot of like YMYL clients, like in the finance and health space. So, these are big, enterprise companies, publicly listed, dealing with a lot of regulations. Like sometimes challenging to
Yeah.
get to push through the recs that we as SEOs want to implement. So that
Yeah.
was always a big challenge. But the I guess the positive thing out of that is when you really build that relationship with your, not only like your internal marketing person or SEO, but you actually get to teach the other teams in
Yeah.
inside, like teaching the content team about SEO best practices, collaborating with developers and making that work well as well. So then when we finally do get to upload that finished product and see the results come in, it's so, yeah, that was really rewarding. So I've really enjoyed, I guess, the client side and the consulting nature of agency side.
So the enterprise side, you would say, is basically, it's a lot funner, a lot more diverse, but it's a lot more difficult as well.
For
I'm
sure.
on local SEO, and it's pretty much home services, and that's about it. I mean, I might get a medical clinic, medical marijuana. I might get some interest in things like that, but other than that, it's pretty much the same old roofers, doctors, dentists, stuff like that. And it's pretty easy to get people ranked with local SEO. Not like, I know, enterprise SEO, where you got to have very specific backlinks, high power backlinks, strategies, etc. With local SEO, it's pretty much, I have a very simple routine. I know exactly what to do to get them ranked. How long do you think, what's the average? I mean, to get actual good traffic coming in on an enterprise SEO client, do you think? I mean, like with us, it's a couple of months, 2-3 months, and they're pretty much going to be good to go. I could imagine if it's really difficult, it's probably 6 months plus or so, I would say, with probably enterprise.
Yeah, I think even like once you start to get good traction, then yeah, I'd probably say more like 6 months, 6 to 9 months if we can go at a good pace, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but then, I mean, I haven't even written this down, but what's, if you will, what's the average ticket, if you could even reveal that per se, that an enterprise client pays?
Average ticket, I guess, yearly, we're looking at, of course, in the six figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
So
solid,
it's a heck of a lot more
yeah.
than home services. It's the point I'm trying to get at so people understand, is there's different types of SEO or SEO you can get into, which is one of the things I always love about, you can get an affiliate, local, some organic, e-commerce, all those sort of things. So how has your role evolved from working at agencies now leading your own consultancy agency? How has that
Yeah,
changed for you?
I think the biggest change is really when you step into being that, like, the business owner or entrepreneur mindset. So it's like you're not just managing a team and you're not just the SEO strategist, but there's all the other stuff, like your actual looking at your finances, your business strategy, you're the marketing and PR person,
Yeah.
all of those things, which
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed so far. Yeah.
So, I mean, you've already touched on this. You kind of started the business because you always wanted to run your own business. Those are some of the things. It's like when I started my agency over here, even was like, we start agencies. Most people start agencies, especially as SEO, because there's a low barrier to entry. Everybody gets into it. Number one reason is because they want to make money. And then if you actually get into it, like you're telling, you're successful, then you got to learn about management. You got to learn about people. You got to learn about finances and taxes and all that stuff. So it gets really interesting really fast. So as far as your SEO strategy and insights, how do you approach SEO differently at SwitchKey Digital compared to your previous roles? How would you say it's changed for you?
That's a great question. I mean, I think the biggest thing is it's really easy at the beginning to jump straight into, like, doing your usual your audits, your, like, the keyword research, or all those deliverables that SEOs will do in that first month or two.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest difference is really trying to align and understand the business's audience deeply, and, like, try to talk in their language, like with their business goals, so that you can try to match their KPIs, and
Yeah.
that really helps to build the long-term trust.
Yeah, the
with a
trust,
client.
so they'll actually stay with you, not just for a few months, but long period of time, and maybe even bring on more businesses and stuff. It's very interesting. Where's some, if you will, because I know a lot has changed just in the past year, but just in the past, few years, if you could, what do you think's really changed regarding the SEO landscape? I know with AI coming on and everything, a lot of people were scared that it was going to kill SEO and that sort of thing. What is your opinion about that? And just, do you think the landscape has changed really that much from, let's say, back when I got started, was with true black hat SEO, and just be able to throw some links and you get ranked back in Google and Panda and Penguin days, versus nowadays? What's changed really?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest change is probably how much smarter Google has gotten over time, to the point where now Google can really understand, like, user intent and behavior at a much more sophisticated level. And I think the changes with, like, with generative AI are only making search even more personalized. So I'd say the biggest difference is that now SEO and, like, user experience are going really hand in hand, and the distinction is going to become smaller and smaller until they're just both so essential.
Awesome. So for those that don't understand what UX or CRO and all these magical terms are that most people we kind of understand it. But what's a case study that you could share the importance of user-centric approach to SEO and UX and CR leading to growth for a client? Just some
So,
figures or some
yeah.
where they started at and where they're at, where they got.
Yes, I mean, of course it's going to be, really dependent on where your client is happy to make the changes, and which team you're working with, and all those things. And I'm sure you guys are already doing parts of this without realizing it. It's more about how you link it together. So, for example, when you do your keyword research, of course, that now thinking more about user intent at a more granular level. So, like, instead of just looking at the user intent that you might see on SEMrush, like informational, transactional, commercial, like, go deeper and think about, like, for my customer, this is them in the initial discovery phase when they don't know what their problem is yet, but they're starting to stumble on some issues. They have questions and go a lot deeper. This is them in the exploratory phase when they're beginning to compare different solutions and review different brands, look at different brands next to each other. So what I'm saying there, I guess, is really making sure you know your audience in that phase. So that's one example of a deliverable. Something else that I really encourage SEOs to do is look at building SEO personas as well, to really get a deeper understanding at that point. So this is all just in the research phase. And then, when you get to actually implementing changes on your website, like, how can you make sure that we get across everything we need on page to be SEO optimized, technically sound, but how can we make the site easy to navigate, mobile friendly, increase time on page, and just help your customers really get to the next action and encourage them to convert. So anyway, with this whole process, I can definitely easily say that you could easily see 15-20% uplift just by thinking more about these things as you go through the SEO process that everyone is already doing.
So, I mean, this is, for me, this is even one of my notes, but so, for example, a lot of clients, I mean, because I do white label, obviously, and we do it in bulk, very general. So we take on I'll take on pretty much anybody except for adult industry. That's the only thing I really won't do, or, cigarettes, that sort of thing. So how would you, for example, I mean, because I talk a lot to clients, and one of the things that they're like, well, I want to rank number one. I can get you ranked number one, but it doesn't mean you're going to get traffic. And they don't understand that concept. Or I'll tell them, say, what's going to set, if you really want to start thinking about it, and then you don't want to just traffic, you want to create marketing and branding and stuff, because my background, a lot of what I read is from funnels and Russell Brunson and a lot of these guys, and you talk personas and your ideal client and stuff like that, is like, you tell them, say, well, what separates you from every other plumber in Orlando, Florida? And they're like, well, my prices or whatever, and that's not going to cut it. How do you integrate not even just the SEO and the UX and the CRO through the website, but how do you get them to understand, the client per se, that you need all of these things, not just SEO. Anybody can do an SEO website, but how do I get people to actually go on the website? And that's one thing, very easy to do. But then how do you teach the client that they need to know more about their client than just they need, a broken pipe fixed, and how do I walk them through from being even a cold client to warm to hot to actually, teaching them about, whatever it may be. It may be, you're doing a, different type of SEO versus local SEO, but how would you apply that, if you will, to local SEO? Because I know to most people, it's two different types of personas. You got two different types of clients, two different types of people. One's all they care about with Google Maps is making the damn phone ring. They don't want to hear, for the most part, a lot of times, they don't want to hear about personas. They don't want to hear about buttons. They don't want to hear about forms. I'll talk to them and I'll try to tell them, say, it depends on the client if you want forms or phone numbers. Depends on if you want leads. What do you want? A lot of times on the header, they'll just want to put, let's just get an example, Orlando's best plumber. And that's probably not going to be good for CRO. And it's probably not going to be exactly what you want, And so how do you teach the client that, hey, that might not be the way to go without hurting their feelings per se?
Yes, I mean, in terms of what to talk to make them want to invest into it, I think the best thing is to speak to the benefits, which is what every business wants. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what niche they're in. Getting more leads, getting more customers, getting more revenue, they'll definitely want that. And I think when we start talking to a client about their business, what are you most proud of, about your business? What makes you stand out? How do you explain what you do to customers, to someone who just walked into your store? All of these things, it's bringing that personality into the marketing and the SEO.
So in that, just so I can get an image for me and everybody else too, but that phase of when someone contacts you and they want to hire you, or they're looking to hire an SEO company, how long do you spend really diving in, getting to know the client's ideal customer, and then once you do that, then you come back to them with the information, or if you will, the due diligence?
Yeah, so I think how long I would recommend spending, it's going to depend on how complex the business is, how many different products or divisions they have. So if it was enterprise, you could spend a month or two, maybe you're tackling only one area at a time, and you might need to repeat that for a different section later. If it's a local client and they don't have as much budget, they just want to start seeing some results, it doesn't have to, you can do that within the first couple of weeks and start working on some quick wins. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a super tedious thing, and there's some great tools now that can speed them up.
Yeah, helps
as well.
you. So the AI and different things you can use to help you, but you're really, so when someone comes to you and says, hey, I just want to pay you to do SEO, that's not how you work. You seem more like, okay, great, you want to pay me to do the SEO, but the very first thing I'm going to do is I want to look at your ideal clients and what are their needs, etc., and then suggest UX or CRO changes before you even touch the SEO.
I think that would be, the ideal case. Of course, I think that at the moment it's still quite, a lot of people still might only think about SEO. They might only think about, I want to update the website or something like that. So they may not understand all the jargon, but the best thing is to just speak to, I want more conversions, and then you can talk about different areas that will help with that. Whether that's, just SEO, your content, your actual website, SEM, maybe. Yeah.
So we've talked about you gave some, if you will, some case studies or some user-centric approaches and stuff, but could you give, if you will, some examples of how taking someone from maybe not using UX and CRO, maybe just even using just SEO, but then started throwing in the UX and CRO, how did that transform that brand's engagement and conversion? Was it just a little bit, or was it like a total night and day difference?
So yeah, I mean, of course, it's going to depend a lot on how much you can get done for your client, you know, how established they already are in their space, how new their website is. But I can easily say, you know, that it's going to see a significant boost of,
Yeah.
you know, whether you're making small changes, like you're making a small change, you could see a 10 to 20%. If you're working on this, you know, you got a decent budget, you're doing an overhaul of your strategy, easily you could see a 50% increase.
Yeah. So depending on their budget, I mean, you could be doing a little change here or there and only do 2 or 3%, but then you do another little change and it adds on another 8%. Another little change that just kind of adds up. It's not really, from what I'm getting, it's not necessarily one big thing that makes some massive difference. It's just the little things that they're probably missing. Interesting.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think that, yeah, there isn't a magic bullet, but a lot of the time, I think it's having that consistency, like actually getting the client passionate and wanting to actually action things, and then doing that consistently, increasing your publishing velocity, your changes over time as well.
Interesting. So I know using SEO, everybody's got tons of different tools, but in your specific, especially your enterprise SEO, et cetera, what are your go-to tools or techniques for optimizing SEO performance or user experience? Everybody has their favorites or anything like that, but kind of go over your go-to tools if you would.
I mean, I still use a lot of the standard SEO tools as well. Still love my, you know, Ahrefs, SEMrush, Screaming Frog, all of those. And then I guess more on the UX side, user testing is great to get like the actual survey feedback. Hotjar, got Optimizely, like for your CRO, your A/B testing. Recently, there's been a huge wave of new AI tools that have come out as well, like for the UX and CRO space. There's one called Instant Personas that's been really good too.
That's interesting. Instant Personas. That's an interesting one. I'll have to take a look at that one. That'd be interesting. If it's doing anything of what I think it is probably doing, it'd be something I'd definitely like to use and take a look at. Any other ones off the top of your head?
There's this one is not specifically for UX, but no, there's so many AI ones. Like recently I really got onto Fathom for your transcriptions for meetings, and you can like taking all your notes and all of those things. Yeah,
that's good. There's one I did just the other day. I did a transcript of a video and then put that into AI and then had it make it into a story in the voice of somebody else. And it's so wild what a lot of this stuff can do anymore. I just remember when content was it's so drudgery almost, and now it actually seems more, it's fun per se, at least for me, using AI. Let's see. So besides the tools, how are you staying updated with local, with latest SEO trends, and to make sure, of course, when things change, that your strategies are still effective? I mean, is it just going on some blogs, or is it testing? What is it exactly?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good mix of chatting with people on, got my on Slack communities, got in-person SEO meetups, like our SEO collective, going to SEO conferences. It's always really great to get that deep dive and hear what's working for people in different niches and countries. And then also on social media, following people on LinkedIn, SEO Journal, and like those sites are great to get the news as well.
Yeah.
So I think all of those things, and then anecdotally, like what I see working with like from my clients as well.
Yeah, so SEO is not something you just learn once and you're done. It's kind of, you gotta every single day, you're kind of staying updated with new things or tests. It's one, I think masterminds are one of the greatest things, is because you get to hear what other people are doing and, you know, tests they're running, especially in local SEO. I mean, we're always trying to figure out ways to, if you will, game the system a lot of times. But, you know, those are some good ideas to conferences. How many conferences do you usually go to, would you say, you know, every year? How much are you, quote unquote, investing into going to conferences?
Yeah, I think I was looking at it this year, like maybe like 5 to 7. But that, that's just me. But I really enjoy the travel, chatting to different SEOs and in different spaces. So for me, it's really worth it. And like you said, the masterminds as well.
Yeah, the
Get lots of
masterminds
great
and
nuggets there.
traveling and getting to meet new people and go to new places is one of the things I like to do too. So 5 to 7 conferences. Erwin says, awesome. We'll get to y'all's questions in a minute. Here, Erwin asked a question. He says, hi, Georgia. How do you handle SEO for websites with a large number of dynamic pages?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would still need to take a template approach. Say if it was JavaScript heavy, managing that, still maybe having your, important content in the HTML side.
It's kind of the
I'd
same
encourage more
things. It's
people.
nothing crazy. It's just the same stuff.
Exactly.
For me, I mean, even looking at, it's like everybody says now Google wants you to do keep the user in mind. And for me, I'm like, Google's always wanted you to keep the user in mind. It's not like it changed overnight. It's just, you can't spam Google to death as much anymore. It's gotten smarter about stuff. I would agree with that.
Exactly.
But it's the same thing. You think, you know, keeping your user in mind, type of content you're putting out, backlinks, yes, they matter. Are they the most important thing for local? No, not so much. Are you actually doing branding? For me, SEO is just branding. I don't really look at SEO as some magical thing that you can do without branding. So for me, it's like your backlinks are branding, your foundational links are branding. If you look at how you're doing it, your press releases, everything you're doing is branding. Backlink is essentially you trying to, you know, get your information out, which is your brand. It's nothing, you know, magical about it. In the sense of the word, is, you know, most people think, you know, SEO is just some kind of voodoo or something what people do to get you on page one. It used to be, you know, you used to tell me you do something and just, okay, you need about 4,000 backlinks and you're on page one within a couple of days. Not so much anymore. So what do you think the future of SEO is? I mean, because a lot of people think with AI, AI is going to kill SEO. Do you envision that the rise of AI, machine learning, that it's going to kill it, or that it's, you know, I mean, I know for content, just for example, for content jobs or virtual assistants, a lot of times it has killed off a lot of jobs because you don't need as many people to do the same task anymore, you know. But what do you think about that? What do you think the future of SEO is?
Yeah, so I definitely don't think that SEO is going to die. It's just going to, be even more diversified in what that even looks like. Like even how we've just seen Google potentially losing or maybe losing its monopoly power, like over in the US, what's been happening now.
Yeah.
I think really SEO is really going to be more about not just optimizing for Google, but also within generative engines, like within showing up in your ChatGPT, in Gemini, in all these other generative engines, and across different surfaces as well. I know voice search has been talked about a lot, like in the past 5-10 years, but I think as tech really improves now, and like with Apple's integration as well with OpenAI, I think we could definitely see voice search really improving with that, and SEO expanding to, you know, like what's already happening, like with YouTube, with TikTok, all these platforms, all forms of SEO as well.
So it's just basically most people just focus on have been in the past. I'm just going to focus on page SEO and maybe some backlinks, and that's about it. And now you're kind of having to focus on your on page SEO, your content, your voice, podcasts, YouTube, etc., and getting really good at a lot of that instead of just being good at one thing. How do you think that's going to affect, or if it's going to affect at all, UX and CRO SEO?
I definitely believe like it's only going to make us have to think a lot harder about really integrating them, because for any of these platforms, like user engagement, user experience is so crucial. And for any business, like getting to that conversion is always going to be the end game, whether that's like a subscription, a membership, a purchase. So that's never going to change. I think it's just like which platforms we do it on, and how we can have that multi-channel and like what I'm calling like multimodal, multi-format approach.
So basically, it's like it's not really necessarily changing it. If anything, it's just giving you more platforms to integrate into. And you're going to kind of have to think about more or various ways to get into the ChatGPT or generative search platforms, etc., which can be tough. And it's, you know, you're going to have a learning curve for it. But, you know, it's still, to me, it's not really going to affect a lot of it. I haven't seen too much effect per se in local SEO, because everybody that talks about AI killing it, and you go look at generative, for me, it's kind of like, well, this is mainly geared towards more so enterprise SEO or affiliate SEO, not so much someone looking for a plumber, because they haven't done it yet for me with Google Maps. So at least from what I've seen. What advice would you give to businesses just starting out and wanting to get into the UX and CRO and SEO aspect of everything, and to apply that into their marketing practices and strategies? What would the best thing to start with?
Yeah, I know it's definitely overwhelming for a new business. So I think now, because of the rise of, you know, a lot of the AI generated content, focusing on that expertise, that authentic, genuine content as a business owner is so important. So I think really spending the time to like really speak to your target customer, talk about your USPs, build your relationships like local SEO, like in your local community or like whatever it is, like the brand building, like you said. I think that
you touched on that actually. You have a Slack channel, I believe it was. I believe a Slack channel you have, and then on top of that, though, you said you do meetups. You don't hear too many people doing meetups, and that's a real good one. It's like we started one here in Manila, but you know, in your local city, that's one good way of you becoming, if you will, the authoritative SEO type person in not necessarily SEO, but any niche really, is meetups. So you get your brand out on top of it, or going to networking events and stuff like that. Interesting.
100%. Yeah, like the networking, and yeah, businesses can do that too with different in-person events they can still host, because that connection is still so important.
Yeah, I was just reading something this morning. It's evening where I'm at, but you're in Australia now? Yes,
I am. So yeah.
Yeah, about the same time zone. And it talked about the same thing. It's like, don't just go to meetups or meetings or networking events. They're just in SEO. Go to like real estate or other niches, so you get get to know different people, different niches. You'll learn something from them as well. And you might get some jobs too. So can you share, I know, because we talked about you started in enterprise SEO, you were working for other people, some other agencies, you really helped them grow tremendously. And then now just 4 months old, you have your own agency. What are some tips for some aspiring, people, especially here in the Philippines or around the world, looking to make an impact, or even just start in SEO? How can you get started in the SEO industry? What would be your tip if they wanted to start? Maybe they're an SEO and they want to start their own agency. What's the thing you would tell them to do?
Yeah, I think for like aspiring SEO wanting to be their own consultant, I think the best thing to do is really expose yourself to different industries and work with different clients. So I guess, yeah, try to build your client base, even if it's like for people and maybe offer to do it for them, like for less or for a trial, and then you get a great case study out of it and you've learned a lot about that industry. Now you can apply that to a lot of other businesses like that and take that strategy with you.
Yeah, I mean, that was when I first got started. I did we did things either free or to do a case study, get a testimonial, and then from there was able to get really good at working with. For me, the beginning was roofers, and that sort of thing. So, got a couple of questions here for you. Ageless Beauty, how do you get clients, Miss Georgia?
Yeah, look, I think for me, it really has been about having that strong community and network. Like I said, like through the in-person events, through people I know, like Sydney and Australia is not a huge community, so you get to know people engaging in different Slack communities, Facebook groups. Ultimately, just I think being like helpful, providing that helpful educational content to clients or potential clients will get your foot in the door.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they try to, let's say, get the big contract. That's the very first thing they want to do, instead of thinking of microservices or something that you can provide for them that's maybe not going to result in, if you will, that much money up front, but it will get your foot in the door. And easiest money is second money. So just get them to spend a little bit of money with you first, and then the second time they go to spend money, you've already gained their trust. So Brow Basil, you say, what steps do you take to recover from a Google manual penalty? Do we still have a chance to overcome this?
I mean, yeah, I would say you may not always have a chance depending on the state, but I mean, steps you can do, I think you'd have to really understand, like identify the issues about where you think that penalty is coming from. Like, is it, for example, your links in the type of content you have? So you really spend that time to understand and then clean up your site, improve and add to it. Or maybe it could be a case of having to move to a different site. It really depends.
Depends on, how harsh they want to be a lot of times. Because they could do a manual penalty, you fix everything that you think you need to fix, and it still doesn't recover. So Elizabeth Richards says, thank you for the great night with Queen Georgia and Master William. Learned a lot from you guys tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you, Camellia, and everybody that's been here. Anybody else? Just don't want to miss anybody. Lastly, could you invite our audience to the upcoming World of Search SEO conference? And I look forward to seeing you there and meeting with everybody. So, but could you invite the audience to that if you could?
Yeah, I can't wait for all of you guys to come to the World of Search conference in Manila next month in September. And I'm really keen to meet everyone there and catch up.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm always interested in, and I know as the audience is also always interested in hearing how people got started in SEO, because a lot of times what happens is people see someone like yourself and you're successful and they're like, I can never be there, you know, and you kind of, you know, when they hear everybody, you know, your story, you give them hope to, you know, it's like, well, I don't always have to work for myself. I could, you know, eventually start my own agency. I mean, yours is only 4 months old. It's like, wow. It's like, I remember those days, and I've been, you know, around for a bit, but it's always interesting hearing your stories. And what's your topic going to be at the conference? Of course, it's probably going to be UX and CRO, but you're coming with case studies and stuff like that, I suppose.
Yeah, we get plenty of
Awesome.
the actionables, some downloadable takeaways. I'm going to focus on helpful content, how to rank and convert now in 2024.
Awesome. And so if you're coming, if you haven't bought your tickets, make sure to go to the World of Search SEO conference, worldofsearchconference.com. Buy your tickets. They do have digital. We also have in person, and we also have VIP. And both of us look forward to meeting you there. And until next time, you guys have a good one and be blessed. And I will see you there, Georgia.
Yeah, see you there.
All right.